Let's look at these technical terms used in the speech act theory. Locutions, locutionary acts, illocutionary act, illocutionary force, and perlocutionary force. Let's define each one of them. Locution. Locution is the utterance itself. It's the act of saying. It's the chained words that come out of your mouth. Locutionary act. Locutionary act is the literal meaning of the locution. It is the explicit meaning of the utterance. Illocutionary act is the intent of a locution. It is the possible interpretation of a locution. It's the implicit meaning of the utterance. Illocutionary force. It is the intended purpose of an illocutionary act. It is the real intention of the speaker. Perlocutionary force. It is the effect of the illocutionary act on the listener. It is when you get the listener to do things. I know you may get confused with all of these terms and definitions. So to better understand those terms, let's take two examples. The utterance, shut the window, and the utterance, it's cold in here. Those two utterances have different grammatical forms. The first utterance is formed with a verb in the imperative. Literally serves to give orders and requests. The second utterance is formed with a stative verb, the verb to be, followed by an adjective describing the temperature of a place, maybe a room. The locution is the utterance itself. Those two that you see on the screen are the locutions, the utterances we use. Let's take those utterances out of context and focus just on their literal meaning. We'll say that the locutionary act of the first is requesting and the second is describing. Let's take the second one. It's called in here. This utterance may have different illocutionary acts, different implied meanings. For example, it may be a request to close the window, or just someone asking for a blanket, and it may also be a simple description of the temperature of the room, or a complaint about the bad quality of the red wine. And if the addressee, the listener, get the real intention of the speaker, the utterance will then have an illocutionary force. What about the perlocutionary force? This is a good question. Let's call back our example. Our example? Come here. Yes, here. Stay there. Yes, there. Exactly. Shut the window. If the listener did what the speaker requested, the perlocutionary force is the actual act of closing the window. Okay. That's all for these terms. Something that you should remember is that a speaker can use different locutions to achieve the same illocutionary force. Like in those examples, they can have the same illocutionary force, which is a request to close the window. Conversely, one can use the same locution to achieve different illocutionary forces. Like in the example of, it's cold in here. I will go drink something and come back. Stay here. Always when we talk about pragmatics, we mention the name of two scholars, Austin and Searle. Austin focuses on how people realize their intentions in speaking, and Searle focuses on how the listener interprets a speaker's utterance. How the listener figures out that what's been said is a request, a warning, or an assertion. So what does this tell us? What can we conclude from this? The answer to this question is that we can say, in order to understand the speaker, we must not only look at the literal meaning of his words, but we must also look at other factors, like the speaker's intent and the social circumstances where the utterance was produced. In other words, understanding the context is very essential if we want to understand the language.